So over the past few days, Box Nation have uploaded several shorts to their YouTube channel of Tyson Fury talking about his upcoming fight with Alexander Usyk, assuming it goes ahead. Hopefully it does. So I want to dissect some of the stuff that Tyson Fury says here. Reason being because the stuff Fury is saying is literally like a script for the British boxing media to parrot. It's an incredible thing. You understand what I mean as this video unfolds. So in this particular short, he claims that the second fight between Usyk and Joshua was actually very close. Now, around the time that fight took place, Fury basically admits that he thought Usyk schooled Joshua and it wasn't close the second time. He now says that, oh no, he was drinking on the night, and having watched it back a different time, he realizes it was genuinely a close fight. And he describes AJ as a slow plodder. And he basically says if a slow plodder like AJ can push Usyk so close, then just imagine what I'm going to do with my superior skills and my superior ability to Anthony Joshua. So that's the gist of this particular short here. In the next one, again, he's talking about how Anthony Joshua got hit a lot by Usyk because he just stands there with his guard up like this, what Teddy Atlas refers to as puts the earmuffs on. He says that AJ stands there like that, the likes of Daniel Dubois and all these other fighters who Usyk has fought, and that's why Usyk's able to touch them up. And obviously he says that Usyk's not going to be able to touch him because he's side on, because he can move about the ring, fight long, etc., etc. And he says if need be, he can fight Usyk in the trenches as well. He can take it to him, take him into a dogfight, and just punch the fight right out of him. And then in this next short, he's talking about how Alexander Usyk doesn't like body shots. He claims that Usyk was knocked out legitimately by Daniel Dubois. He claims that Usyk's shorts were up extremely high, which they were absolutely not. I've gone into depth on that fight, literally forensic analysis. Usyk's shorts were not up high at all. It's just Tyson Fury lying. He's also talking about judging. He's saying that because of the situation in Usyk's country, he might get unfair sympathy from the judges. And we don't want that. We don't want legitimate body shots being called low blows. We don't want dodgy decisions on the scorecards, etc., etc. There's also a video of Tyson Fury training, which some people have been really impressed by. I'll come on to that a little bit later on in the video, but to just address the things he's saying in these shorts. So with regards to the Usyk-Joshua rematch, I didn't think it was particularly close. The judges might have had it close for the first 10 rounds, but the judges, I think, had Anthony Joshua ahead going into the 11th round against Vladimir Klitschko, or they had it close at least. These superstar fighters often get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to scorecards. And I think that the rematch of Alexander Usyk was an example of that. I think AJ did a bit better. He didn't take as many shots in the first 8-9 rounds or whatever against Usyk in the rematch as he did in the first fight. Didn't take quite as much punishment, but I still thought that Usyk was a comfortable winner. I'll explain why I think Fury's saying the stuff he's saying here in a moment. Then this clip here where he's saying that Usyk won't be able to hit him unless he stands there with the earmuffs on as a stationary target. Well, Tyson Fury was fighting side on at long range against Steve Cunningham, and Cunningham was able to hit him. Obviously, he switched it up after getting dropped, and ironically, that's when Tyson Fury started having more success, is when he actually stopped boxing at long range, side on, and actually started fighting like this, like it's showing in this YouTube short. That's when he started being able to actually get close to Cunningham and put hands on him. When he was side on, Cunningham was too fast for him. When Fury was trying to play Cunningham at his own game, didn't work. And that was how many years ago, when Fury was a much younger, faster man than he is now. Much more athletic back then than he is now. Also, Otto Wallen, for the first couple rounds against Tyson Fury, Fury was boxing side on at long range, moving around, and Wallen was able to hit him with a left hand that cut his eye open. Deontay Wilder was able to hit Tyson Fury in the first fight when Fury was doing all the long range slick stuff. He was able to land with his jab throughout the fight and then his right hand later on in the fight. And that's Wilder, who's not the most coordinated fighter in the world, is he? Nowhere near as accurate or as skillful as Alexander Usyk. Taller, yes. Hits harder, yes. But certainly doesn't have that kind of footwork, doesn't have that kind of boxing IQ. And Wilder was able to put hands on Fury several years ago in that first fight when Fury was doing the slick, long-range boxing. And then moving on to this short, where Tyson Fury's talking about wanting a fair fight as far as the officiating against Usyk. When have you ever heard Tyson Fury talking like this in the run-up to any other fight? You guys tell me. Normally Tyson Fury dismisses all this stuff. He says, the judges don't matter, the referee don't matter, I'm just so good, I'm going to win anyway. Don't worry about all that stuff. No point even discussing it. But here, he's making a point of discussing it. I think Tyson Fury is very anxious about this fight. The stuff he said in these first couple of clips is what the boxing media parrot. Oh, Fury's just too big. Usyk won't be able to land a glove on him. What, like Otto Wallen didn't land a glove on him? What, like Deontay Wilder didn't land a glove on him? What, like Steve Cunningham didn't land a glove on him? What, like Francis Ngannou didn't land a glove on him? I just find it extraordinary that people think it's going to be impossible for Usyk to land on Tyson Fury when all of these other fighters who are far slower, far less skillful, don't have the footwork, don't have the accomplishments. Most of them don't have the southpaw style of Alexander Usyk. They can land, but Usyk somehow can't. Fury has managed to bamboozle people into thinking that he is this heavyweight version of Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather or something. He's not. Is he slicker than most of the big men out there? Yes, he is. But he can be hit. The guy's been dropped 7 times in his career, including in his last fight. And there's another thing that Tyson Fury says in one of these shorts, and that is that he knows he can take Usyk's punches, but Usyk can't take his. Well, I'm actually not sure whether Tyson Fury can take Usyk's punches. I think Tyson Fury's punch resistance is deteriorating. Now, he's always been a guy who you can drop, but he has tremendous recuperative ability. We've seen that time and time again. But I think it's becoming easier to drop Tyson Fury than it used to be. Perhaps the recuperative ability is still there. I haven't seen any reason as of yet to believe it isn't. But in a fight where it could very well go to the scorecards, you don't want to be getting dropped. That's a 10-8 round. If Steve Cunningham and Nevin Pajkic can drop Tyson Fury, if Usyk lands right, I think he can drop Fury as well. All I see in these videos of Tyson Fury is a man trying to talk himself confident. That's what I see. And you might believe his demeanor here, that he's 100% as far as confidence and genuinely believes the stuff that's coming out of his own mouth. I think he's trying to convince himself that the stuff coming out of his mouth is reality. And sometimes, of course, that works. You can successfully talk yourself confident. Affirmations, right? But the fact that Tyson Fury feels the need to do this for this particular opponent, Fury doesn't normally go to the same extent talking himself confident as he is doing here for Alexander Usyk, which is a measure of how seriously he's taking this guy, despite all his rhetoric. And the stuff he says here about wanting a fair fight and fair officiating, again, when have you heard Tyson Fury say stuff like this before a big fight previously? I don't recall him saying anything like this, at least not for many, 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 many years. I don't think he was even particularly concerned in the run-up to the Klitschko fight about fair officiating. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is Tyson Fury trying to get his excuses in early if it all goes Pete Tong and he ends up losing a decision. I also think that if Tyson Fury has to resort to rough tactics, and look, Tyson Fury doesn't have a history of being a particularly dirty fighter. I've always said this, but he can push the boundaries at times. We saw that against Steve Cunningham. And if he's forced to do that against Alexander Usyk because he's behind on points and he's getting pieced up, I think he's trying to steer the narrative beforehand. I think he's trying to preempt situations where he's actually committing fouls, Usyk is rightfully complaining about it, and Fury's getting penalized. I think he's trying to preempt all of that by putting this narrative out there that it's actually Usyk who complains about non-existent fouls. And that's simply not the case. All this talk about Usyk's shorts were up way too high against Daniel Dubois, that is an outright lie. I went through that and analyzed it forensically. Looked at all the screenshots and whatever. It's nonsense. Fury knows it's nonsense. Now, headlines are headlines, right? They're designed to grab your attention. And so Boxing Scene did a good job grabbing my attention with this headline. It says, moving like a cruiserweight. Fans worry for Alexander Usyk after Tyson Fury posts new training footage. And this is the training footage in question here. It's been uploaded by several YouTube channels, including IFL TV. It's Tyson Fury on the pads, moving around, throwing these pity-patty punches, switching southpaw. Now, I don't know how many people are really impressed by this training footage, but there's definitely some. Obviously the Tyson Fury fanboys, and perhaps some other people as well, but personally, I wasn't particularly impressed, at least not to the extent of this being anything we haven't seen before from Tyson Fury. If you think of the worst performances in Tyson Fury's career over the past 10 years, let's say, he's posted very similar footage of him moving around, looking very light on his feet, letting combinations go on the pads. But yet he's got in the ring and he's still got hit with big shots. He's won, and that's the name of the game, winning. But people have still been able to put hands on him, even in years gone by when he was a lighter, younger, fresher, fitter man than he is today. So as for fans worrying for Usyk because of Tyson Fury posting this footage, yeah, he's in the ring with a trainer who is literally bringing his hands towards Tyson Fury's gloves as he punches. That is the definition of can't miss, because the trainer is intentionally bringing the target towards your fists. Usyk's head is obviously not going to do that. Usyk's head's going to be moving all over the place, as well as his feet, and he's going to be punching off that movement. So it's all well and good looking like this, moving around with a trainer who's bringing his hands towards your fists. Very, very different when you're in there with an actual moving target that's punching back. The thing that throws these big men off about Alexander Usyk is that his coordination is so much better than theirs. And trust me when I tell you that Usyk's coordination is much better than Tyson Fury. Fury looks coordinated on the pads, or when he's in there against a Deontay Wilder or some slow plodder like Derek Chisora. He didn't look so coordinated when he was fighting Steve Cunningham, did he? He didn't look so coordinated even when he fought Otto Wallin. He looked quite clumsy at many points in that fight. And sometimes these are things that you won't get a grasp of, won't get a feel of until you see the two guys in the ring squaring off against each other. Then you'll be like, wow, what's up with Fury's coordination? Ain't nothing up with it. It's the same coordination that he had in his last fight and the fight before that. Same coordination he had against Dillian Whyte. It's just that Usyk's coordination is so good that it's throwing Fury off. So I think what we are seeing here is the opposite of what Fury's trying to project. Supreme confidence, Usyk having no chance at all, this fight being a foregone conclusion in Fury's favor. I think Fury's trying to talk himself confident because he's actually not that confident deep down. And I think, as I've said in previous videos, part of the reason for that, perhaps the main reason for that, is because his body isn't responding and isn't performing to the level that it used to perform at. And I personally think that's making him anxious. But as I said at the start, the stuff Fury's saying here is like the script, which is then read out by TalkSport presenters. I want to give a shout out to David Gold on Patreon because he was responding to something I said regarding Usyk not getting the credit he deserves. And he said that while a lot of the boxing public might now be finally giving Usyk some credit because you see the betting odds have now shifted in Usyk's favor slightly, that doesn't also apply to the boxing media. Certainly not the likes of TalkSport. Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver, all them guys, apart from maybe Adam Cattrall, are treating Alexander Usyk like an afterthought because all the talk is about Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua now because they're saying, well, once Fury beats Usyk, then we finally get the fight we've all been waiting for, AJ versus Fury. Like it's a foregone conclusion that Fury beats Usyk. It's an incredible thing. Let me tell you one person who doesn't think it's a foregone conclusion. This guy right here, Tyson Fury. Never mind his rhetoric. This guy right here doesn't think it's a foregone conclusion. That's why he's talking the way he's talking, uncharacteristically in the run-up to a big fight. Normally, Fury's very short describing upcoming fights. Well, if I can't beat this guy, I'm no good, am I? So there you go. What about the judges? You're not worried? Nah, I'm not worried at all. That's how Fury normally is. But in this one, he's like, oh, well, I hope we don't get dodgy judges and, He described Anthony Joshua as a slow plodder. I'm telling you that Anthony Joshua, when it comes to his power shots, is faster and more coordinated than Tyson Fury. And let me just define what I mean here. Technically, a straight right hand is a power shot, but when Tyson Fury is moving around, like let's say in this video where he's on the pads, he's not sitting down on the right hand. It's a throwaway shot. That's the kind of right hand he was hitting Francis Ngannou with, where nothing was happening. Ngannou was eating him up. Because there's nothing on the punch. So yeah, Fury can throw shots like that, throwaway shots. These little 1-2s and 1-2-3s, he can get him out very fast when he's up on his toes and looks very coordinated doing so, but there's nothing on him. And I seriously doubt he's going to be able to hit Usyk with those shots. Anyway, and if he does land the odd one, I don't think Usyk's going to be particularly bothered by it. He'll make an adjustment, move off to the side. When Fury actually sits down on his punches and decides to punch hard, and he can punch hard when he wants to, his punches don't come out really snappy and fast. They don't. They actually look quite cumbersome, and he needs a stationary target in front of him to actually land those big, heavy shots. I'm telling you that when Anthony Joshua lets go with full force, he's able to plant himself faster than Tyson Fury. to let go with full power. And his full-blooded power shots are faster than Tyson Fury's full-blooded power shots. AJ just doesn't have this secondary mode that Fury has, where he can throw pity-patty shots quickly to maybe bamboozle a plodder or whatever. But if you're talking about throwing meaningful shots, sitting down on the shots, AJ's full power shots come out faster and they're sharper than Fury's are. And that's the kind of shots he was throwing at Alexander Usyk, particularly in the second fight. And so I'm saying if Usyk can come through that type of assault from a guy who can throw fast, powerful shots with both hands, the way AJ can, if he can come through that, then it will actually be easier to avoid Tyson Fury's shots on the front foot. The caveat I'll add is if Fury decides to actually lean on Usyk and rough him up in the clinches, that could make the difference. That could make Usyk stationary enough for Fury to actually be able to do some real damage. But in my view, it's contingent on that. And then the Gypsy King could go to work. And he did that against Steve Cunningham years ago. He roughed him up enough to tire him out, to take away that mobility, and then he knocked him out. And in fact, before I forget, the first Usyk-Joshua fight, Joshua was boxing side on. Joshua wasn't doing what Tyson Fury described in this particular video here, putting earmuffs on and just marching forward. He wasn't doing that for most of the fight. He was trying to box side on, left hand down, and Usyk was actually able to hit him more easily when he was fighting like that. Did you notice that? In the second fight where Joshua did have the earmuffs on and he was fighting like this, Usyk found it more difficult because he was having to try and punch through and around AJ's guard. And when a big man has got a solid guard, it's not so easy. Same goes for when Tyson Fury fought Steve Cunningham. Tyson Fury was easier to hit when he was at long range with his left hand down trying to do the slick stuff. When Tyson Fury put his guard up, again, Cunningham struggled to penetrate his guard. It was literally the opposite of what Tyson Fury is describing here. So those are my thoughts on these shorts that have been uploaded by Box Nation. Have a watch of them for yourselves. Let me know what you think. But that's my take.